Hello, I'm Jared Fry, General Manager of Medina TV, and I want to welcome you to our 2019 Candidates Forum. And of course, joining me as always is Jacqueline Rinksmeyer with the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, thank you, Jared. We are once again pleased to partner with Medina TV to offer our viewers an opportunity to become more informed voters for the upcoming November election.
And of course, Medina TV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce do not support or endorse any of these candidates. This is just brought to you as an informational way to learn more about the candidates running for office.
All candidates in contested races were invited via certified letter to participate in the interviews today.
So sit back and get informed with our 2019 Candidates Forum. Hello, now joining me in studio is our candidate for Ward 1, currently City Councilman for Ward 1, Bob Starcher. Bob, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
First, why don't we start off a little bit and just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Bob Starcher. I've been a city resident for 41 years. Moved in my house on Bunker Hill Drive in Medina in 1978. So I've been a Ward 1 resident for 41 years. At that time, I had a business degree out of Ohio State, and I was working in retail management. In 1983, 5 years later, a job with the Medina City Police Department came open, and I applied and was hired. So in 1983, I became a member of the Medina Police Department. During my 30-year career there, I rose through the ranks, started with patrol, moved up to sergeant, and then became lieutenant to Dennis Hanwell, who's now Mayor Dennis Hanwell. So I worked as his lieutenant for 10 years. He and I worked together 25 years at the police department. I finished my career there in 2013 after 30 years. Mayor Hanwell then asked me to be the Medina City's representative to the Medina County Drug Abuse Commission Board, and I gladly accepted, took that responsibility on, and during that time was the height of the opioid problem, and it's still a problem, but that was the height of it really. So I saw firsthand the effectiveness of the education, enforcement, and treatment that the McDack Board does and the Adam Board does in Medina County. Also at that time, I became a auxiliary police officer with the Montville Township Police Department. During that time, I worked a lot in the Medina City schools, Garfield, Sidney Finn, and Ella Canavan, working with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders after school, developing relationships between children and police officers. And in November of 2018, last November, the Ward 1 council position became open, and I applied, and they accepted me. And so since November, I've been the Ward 1 councilman. I've been married to Chris for 26 years, and I have a daughter, Melissa, and her family lives in Charlotte. Okay. And that's where we are today.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. And what, you go back that just about a year ago then, what I guess brought about the fire or the desire to run for city council or to apply?
Well, I've served Medina since 1983, the residents, and I was on the inside. I moved up in a department, so I was working with other departments in the city, other department heads. So I saw how the city functioned, and I saw what a great city it is. When I moved here in '78, I did not love Medina. By now, I love Medina. I think it's the greatest city in the world, and that was proven by the fact that we were voted best hometown in Ohio 2019. I just wanted to get more involved, working from the inside in the departments, looking at council. I saw how to phrase it a little bit, I saw the ingredients of the sausage. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm councilman, I see how those ingredients are mixed together and how one ingredient affects the other one and how it affects the outcome. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting. I've learned a lot in this year. I put a lot of effort into it, and I think I do a good job.
What has probably been the most surprising part of being on city council that you probably didn't expect when you first applied for it?
Well, you look at the calendar and you go, oh, it's a meeting every 2 weeks and a few committee meetings here and there. That's not how it is. I put a lot of time in it. It takes a lot of time and effort. I really admire people who do a 40-hour job and do that, become a councilman and serve, because it takes a lot of that time and effort. And I applaud them because doing the research, looking up topics and talking with constituents to see how they feel about topics, it takes a lot of time. So it's not a full-time job, but it's darn close.
Mm-hmm. Now, as you look at Ward 1, and I guess even council as a whole, as you look at stuff, what kind of do you focus on, I guess first from the ward perspective, what are kind of your priorities in terms of Ward 1?
Ward 1's unique. It has a mixture of industry, business, and residential. And due to the circumstances in zoning areas, we have industrial right next to residential. And in fact, I have a concrete crusher in my backyard for the Liberty Woods development and the Yorktown development. It's been an issue for a few years. It's gotten better. The city's been very good working with the business, working with the industry to try to come up with a solution. It's not perfect for either side, but I think it's better than it was. We have low-income residents, we have wealthy residents, so it's just really a mixture in Ward 1 of dealing with problems from low-income people to senior citizens. We have several new senior citizen facilities in Ward 1. New businesses are growing and popping up in Ward 1. And since 2017, City has received a grant for an opportunity zone in the industrial area of Ward 1. What that's done is allowed capital investment to be made in the ward and give the business a break, and that encourages it. And a great example is Ravago, the giant building that's going up on Smith and Lake Road. That if you've gone by there, not with the road closed lately, but it's a huge business, multinational, huge corporation, and just going to benefit the city's tax base tremendously. And that's what we like to do. This Chamber of Commerce works well with the city and other nonprofits to encourage business and industry development in the city. And that's what we need, because income from the state level is decreasing at an alarming rate. I've heard since '04 we're losing about $1 million a year state assistance to the local level. So we have to make that up somewhere. So we have to work to maintain the city services that the city provides, which is at a top-notch level. There is none better. I'll put our city services against any other city in the state. And we have to keep that level while maintaining that low tax rate we have, which is the lowest of the 3 cities in Medina County.
Mm-hmm. Now, you kind of touched on Ward 1. You kind of got into the broader spectrum of council as a whole. What about some of the projects and initiatives as the whole council, and you look at the entire city? What are your...
Well, there's the big one making news, like the county courthouse, working with the county. That's a new venture it's kind of groundbreaking, working together with 2 jurisdictions. I got in late to the process, so I wasn't there at the beginning, but I think Mayor Hanwell and the commissioners are doing a fantastic job. I think some people think that they were trying to hide something, but that's not the case. Everything's been open, and that's another thing I'd like to do if I get elected, is to create more of an awareness of residents of how much information there is out there to know what's going on in the city. With the technology today, there's really no reason not to know what's going on. Everybody surfs the web. Everybody can take 5 minutes, surf the web, look at Medina. Medina's website's fantastic. It has agendas, it has meetings, it has anything you want to know about what's going on in the city, what's coming up in the city. So I want to get that word out, get the awareness out, because I want the people to decide on the issues. It shouldn't necessarily be the 7 people sitting up there in front. We should be the voice of the people of the city, all 27,000 people. So again, just council's issues, the courthouse, just again, I think a big one right now is working with that low tax rate and maintaining the services. So we're going to try and keep that tax rate where it is.
And that's great. You talked about working for the constituents. How do you yourself handle that balance of course, there's initiatives you'd like to have, but also still listening to the constituents of your ward? How do you balance that?
If I had to pick one word of what this job is, it's balance. It's balancing the needs of the city, government, business, industry, residents, and council. It's a juggling act, and you have to get out there and talk to the people. You have to listen to them, and on a particular issue, you may not agree with how someone votes or how the city's doing something, but what we do is definitely what we think is best for the future of Medina.
And I guess one of those, it's been another controversial, not necessarily controversial, but an issue that's got a lot of community comment. Some of the stuff going towards diversity and different legislation that council's looked at. Kind of explain and talk us through that process and like you said, how did it work working with residents and with members of council?
And again, that process started before I came on council. And I was kind of surprised because I still don't think that Medina has any kind of a problem when it comes to inclusiveness, and diversity. I think the city has been way ahead of the curve as far as other cities, as far as welcoming all. No one should be discriminated against. 2019, it's unacceptable. And I think if it happened, we'd hear about it and the city of Medina would fix it. Dennis Hanwell, the mayor, would not tolerate it. Whatever the city could do to intervene, would stop it, nip it in the bud. I like to tell people that Mayor Hanwell doesn't allow small p problems to become big P problems. He will not tolerate that. And I don't think anyone would tolerate that now. And on that particular issue, it is really a controversial issue. The Supreme Court of the United States has taken up the three cases on that. Coming up here on October 7th and 8th, they're going to hear those cases. I just think it's putting the cart ahead of the horse we spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of legal work to come up with that, which again, I'm in favor of it, but I don't think it's the efficient use of government. I think because in the spring, when those decisions come out, we're going to have to go back and address it again, and so it's a duplication of effort. I think it was a solution to a problem that does not exist.
And I guess as you look at those two, how do you handle whether it's that issue, the parking deck, any of these issues that come along lately with council? Of course, there's going to be differing opinions among the members of council, and not necessarily. What's your opinion? Do you feel everyone has to agree all the time? Do you feel they don't? Do you guys work to that resolution?
No, that's when you talk about diversity. There's diversity on council right now. There's 7 people up there with different experience, education, backgrounds, point of views. And I think it works tremendous. I think Councilman Lamb mentioned not too long ago that we work well together. The differences of opinion are good. It opens your eyes. It's like any issue. You should listen to both sides. You shouldn't make your mind up before you hear all the facts of an issue. This council works well with that. The administration, there's questions. They are top notch. Again, Mayor Hanwell has hired great department heads, great employees. Again, they don't let small problems become big problems.
Yeah. And I guess as you look, I'll kind of circle back a little bit. I meant to ask this earlier and didn't get to that. With your ward, with a lot of the industry and the businesses mixed in with the residential, I know I've seen you at a lot of the ribbon cuttings that we've had here in the city. I guess kind of touch on your thoughts with new business or expanding business and what it means for the city.
The city and the Chamber of Commerce and other nonprofits, I thought it was all lip service when I first started going to these ribbon cuttings, and the new business owners would say what a great job working with the city. But after going to them for a year, it's not lip service, and speaking to them afterwards, it's not lip service. This city does a great job of attracting businesses and keeping businesses. And that goes back to that tax base. We need businesses, we need industry. Years ago, I was probably more on the side of, hey, what are you doing for the citizens? But again, the citizens like that low tax rate, and that keeps it low. Plus, with the aging population of Medina, aging population everywhere, that income tax levels are going to go down because it's a payroll tax. It's not income tax. So when people retire, like me, there's no longer income tax coming into the city from that person. So again, we have to keep the level of services high with the tax rate low.
Now, in terms, if reelected here in November, what is your platform of some of the biggest issues you'd like to see taken care of in your next term?
Okay, first of all, it's elected. It won't be reelected.
Sorry.
No, that's all right, because I was appointed. Don't want to.
No, thank you for correcting me.
Don't
I
want to say I
appreciate
was
that.
reelected. Again, balancing, go back to that word, balancing historic Medina, the interest in keeping things the way they were with future needs. And the future needs include is financial. The city has to look ahead. back in '04, '03, I was there as lieutenant. I had to lay off 7 police officers because the city finances were so bad. And you talk about a bad time when you have to tell somebody they're laid off because the city doesn't have the money. So in '04, when we got the tax levy boosted a little bit, with half of that increase going to street maintenance, we started the 5-year plan. 5-year plan is one of the greatest things I think the city has done in my time, the 30 years I've been with the city, 35 years, because we project out. We project revenues, we project expenses. And it's hard telling these department heads who do such a great job, it's hard telling them, no, you can't do this, but that's our job as council.
And I guess in that same point, is whether it's the staff here at the city, the departments that you have to say no to, or even constituents, how do you handle that balance of people that may not have the same view or opinion of yourself that you have?
I just try to give them all the information which I have, which is usually more than the everyday resident, because they don't have the time. They're working, they have families, they have houses to take care of, to investigate the issues. So I have the luxury of investigating, so I explain to them why I did that. Again, I didn't just jump to that conclusion. Do the research, do the legwork to find out, and then explain that's why I did it. And that's why we have a great republic, a representative republic like we do in the United States. It's the greatest government on earth, and if enough people get involved, all the people, we need the majority of people getting involved. If at the end of the term people don't like it, they can vote their candidate in. But I think openness and transparency, why I did something, is key.
Now, if elected, I'll get it right this time, what would you see as the biggest issue that would face council in your next term?
It's hard. It's like when I go around, I ask people, what's your biggest concern in Ward 1? Inevitably, it starts with, I don't really have one. It's great. That's great. And with that 5-year plan, there really are no surprises. We have it looked at. Again, the courthouse issue. I think that one's going to take some time and effort on everybody's part, to come up with the best solution for everyone, residents, government, judicial, everyone. That's a big foreseeable future. That's the big issue.
And then the biggest issue, I think, for Ward 1, what would you think would be in the next term?
Get a lot of, again, that balance between residential and industrial. Streets, you get a lot of complaints about the streets. The city spends more money on streets. And when they repair a street, you get this all the time. Why is it taking so long? It's just tearing it up. Medina started years ago doing a great thing with the infrastructure, with an older city. All that infrastructure underneath, the pipes, water lines, sewer lines, are old. So if you're going to put a new street on top of those old lines, and those lines fail, you're going to have to dig that street up, and we don't want to do that. So when we replace streets, we do the whole shebang. They go from service lines up, so they replace everything. Ward 1, I've already talked to Pat Patton several times about this. North State Road, a lot of truck traffic because of Progress Drive, because of the industry on Smith Road and Lake Road. So it's showing its age. So hopefully we can get that one up and running here in a couple of years and get that thing fixed. Other issues, again, it's just the aging population. We have to take care of those citizens. We have to make sure we still take care of them when they're not contributing to the income tax base, but we're still going to provide that great service to them.
Now, I appreciate all the time you've had here today and answering the questions here for me, but I'll give you the opportunity here as we wrap up, in case there's something I might have missed you wanted to say to the residents, or just a message you want to give to the residents. I'll turn the floor over to you here and let you kind of close us out.
Thanks, Sharon. I love the city. I love Medina. I've served it since 1983. I've served it since I retired from the police department. I know it inside and out. I know the people of Ward 1, the struggles they've gone through, some of the neighborhoods that I'd be afraid to walk down 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Great things are happening in the ward, and I would just appreciate the residents of Ward 1 vote. Thank you.
And thank you, Bob.
Thanks,
Appreciate your time here today, and best of luck this November.
Thank you so much.